Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Big Bite Baits. Jordan, we're here on Valentine's Day. So I got my red shirt on. I didn't get a red hat, but we decided that we were going to talk about things to do with red today, being it was on Valentine's Day. You know, it's a special day for all the girls out there in the world, I guess, and all the guys can go broke. So it's a good deal anyway. So we're going to get to that in just a second. I think you told me you had a couple questions we need to hit on, and let's do that first today.
I do. I'll start with Jack O'Brien.
All right, Jack.
He's wondering, what do you think is the best bait for late winter?
Late winter, the fish kind of getting sluggish or getting cold. I would definitely use something I could slow down. I think in our line, maybe some type of drop shot bait might work real good. That's what I would kind of recommend, that you could slow way down and work real slow. But then a lot of people will tell you that time of year you need to jig a spoon and give them something that they can react to. So that gives you two options you might want to try.
Okay. I just got a live question from Backwoods wondering, what is the best color for spring?
Well, I think that depends on your watercolor. And we've talked about this 100 times. Preferably, if the water's muddy, I like a black neon or maybe a black and blue. And of course, you got standard, what I call standard color water. It's not too stained, it's not too clear. Some type of green pumpkin variant seems to work real well.
And we'll have a few more color suggestions for him later in the show.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about some things here in just a few minutes that might cover some of that spectrum for him.
Okay, let me ask you this one from T. Brad Fishing.
All right.
He wants to know the story behind the Smalley Smasher color. Green pumpkin, orange, black, purple, pearl, blue.
I don't know if there's a story behind it or not. They just decided to give it the name green pumpkin and then put all the color flakes that are in that particular bait. That is designed to represent a goby, I believe.
Okay.
The guy that invented that bait for us I think he called that color originally goby, and then we changed it to that particular color when we produced it.
So it's supposed to imitate a goby.
It's supposed to imitate a goby, most definitely.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
So definitely.
All right.
So anyway, today I thought what we do, Jordan, being as we're not really stressed to do anything in particular, we talk about Valentine's Day baits.
All right. So
obviously that's going to be baits that have red in them, or either the word red. Kind of like I used to coach football, we had a stunt we called Red Dog, So we're going to talk about red baits today.
All right.
So let's just get started, talk a little bit about things that you can use that Big Bite Bait produces that has red in it. All right, you can start off with the flamethrower Suicide Shad, which is a red-looking variant with some orange blended in. Or if you want to do another type of swim bait, you can go to the Pro Swimmer that comes in the same flamethrower-looking red. Comes in 4 sizes, 2.8, 3.3, 3.8, and 4.8. This comes in 3 sizes, 3.5, 5-inch, and 7-inch. So that's your swim bait colors that are in red. And I'm just going to kind of pile them up as I go through them. Then if you want to do a buzz bait, you could do the Suicide Buzz. Has that 3.5 Suicide Shad on it, has a red blade. So that's a color of red in the buzz bait pattern that we offer. So give you an idea. All right, and then you can move on from there. So I just kind of picked out some different reds. Red shad, craw tube, do the red shad type color.
Okay.
Something that's kind of interesting, by the way. That's a real unsung bait that a lot of people don't know about that catches fish real well we make.
So real quick, how do you like to rig that, Texas?
I like to rig this Texas rig, with a rattle in it and like a 4/0 wide gap hook. Works real well. It's a real good springtime bait. If the water's real muddy, works really good. So something to think about, okay?
Okay.
All right. Then you can do the swim worm, 5.5, 7.5 in red bug. So anyway, and that's a really nice color. Sells real well. Real good clear water type color. So that's another type of red format you could go with. If you want to do a springtime bait for a lizard, you could do the green pumpkin Texas red, which is a green pumpkin on one side and the red on the other. So that's another variant of the red that we make, which is, by the way, a real good fish catching color as well. In any type of color that we make this green pumpkin Texas red in, whether it be a B2 or a finesse worm, it's always a really good color, okay? It works really well. If you want to do a topwater bait, you could do the Tour Toad in natural red, which is a little different color red. It's a little darker type red than a bright red, but it works really well. Good topwater color. Okay, you could do obviously the swim-ons. We've talked about this 100 times. We get our chatterbaits back out for about the 10th time. You could do the green pumpkin red flake. You could do the flamethrower swim-on. and you could do the green pumpkin flamethrower. So 3 combinations of red that you could use on your baits that we make in the swim on. Okay? And then obviously you got the 7-inch B2 worm. It's in that same green pumpkin Texas red. It's something that we just introduced this last year. It's a new bait. It's been fairly popular to strike with, but if you like to fish farm ponds, this is a really good size for pond fishing, I know. Okay? And then obviously the big worm, the B2 10-inch worm, you could do the tequila fire, which is a tequila version with red in it, or you can do the red bug. Once again, we're staying with that red color. So anyway, that's some other ways to do red. And then last but not least, one of my favorite baits, as we all know, the fighting frog. You could do the green pumpkin Texas red in it. You could do the Texas red in it. And you can do the red melon in it. So plenty of red there to choose from as well. So all in all, we have a pretty big variety of red colored baits that you can choose from on Valentine's Day to go out and catch your favorite girlfriend with. So anyway, questions, Jordan, what else we got to do with red today?
Sure, just tell me one more time what each bait. That's
a fighting frog. You got your 10B2, you got your 7B2, you got your swim-ons 4.25, you got your tour toad, you got your creek tail lizard, you got your swimming worm, you got your craw tube, you got the suicide shad and the buzz and individual, and you've got the pro swimmer last. So those are some of the things you can look for in the color red.
Awesome.
Got some questions, I know, because I heard you tell me a minute ago we had a couple new questions that had come rolling in.
Sure. So Fishing and Pitching asks, what is the difference between a pro swimmer and a finesse swimmer? That's a good question.
That's a real good question. A pro swimmer is a little more streamlined than a finesse swimmer. A pro swimmer's made out of a little less, it's a little softer. It has a little more action. A finesse swimmer has a little fatter head, so it cinches up real good on baits, especially if you like to use it as a trailer or on an Alabama rig. It works real good, and it makes it a little more durable, for sure. And of course the ridges are they're a little different in this particular bait. The pro swimmer, the ridges are a little deeper than they are on the finesse swimmer. And they have a little different shape in the tail. This one kicks a little bit more than the other one, but they both do kick, and they kick enough to be fish catching shapes. So either one, you just kind of got to pick your poison on how you want to go with that. I know that like Mike McClellan likes to use that finesse swimmer when he's fishing like a swimmer head, because it's got more meat in the head. Mm-hmm. And I know this makes an excellent like chatterbait trailer, or you can put this on an Alabama rig and do real well with it. So kind of clarify that up a little bit for you anyway.
Okay. Joshua Wagner's wondering some suggestions for clear water colors.
Any of the clearer type colors I think work really well. That new GP Pocket, the Garrett Pocket color we have in that Pro Swimmer, I know that's a real good clear water bait. If I'm not mistaken, he used that a lot when y'all were up there smallmouth fishing. Mm-hmm. Watermelon red always works real well in clear water. Seems to be a color that you can use, or like our smoky gold. Any of those clear base type baits that's got like some flake in them, some flash, mm-hmm. I think work real well in clear water. And then, of course, obviously, you can't count out watermelon red.
All right, good suggestions.
So,
I have an interesting question from Devin.
All right, Devin.
He's wondering, would you rather throw a big worm or a football jig in the deep summer?
I usually throw both.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to dodge that question. I usually throw the big worm first. If I don't get any bites on it, then I throw the big jig and maybe either stroke it or drag it along and hop it. Just to give them a little different presentation. But they both work really good in the summer on deep water. Basically, if you're going fishing, you need to have both of those on the deck of your boat, and you need to try them both. So I don't think I can say I like one more than I do the other, because I get bites on both.
Okay. Here's a question from AT Fishing is wondering, what is a good bed fishing bait?
We make a bait that is primarily designed to bed fish with, the warmouth. Now, we've cut our colors back in that. But it's the guys that try that love it. They say that thing works wonderful around beds. But to give you other options, I mean, I can tell you more about the warmouth and how to rig it and that kind of thing. But we have a white fighting frog that's real popular that people use in the bed. A lot of people like to use white in beds, that way they can see the bait. And obviously kamikaze crawls, anything that's kind of compact, I think that's got some action, works real well in the bed. And I think it has to all do with visibility. I don't do a lot of bed fishing personally, but the guys that I know that do, they like to be able to see their bait where they can see the fish pull it in. So I would recommend, I think possibly off of that alone, something that you can see that's visible to you. And if I had to bed fish, I'd probably use a warmouth because I just like how it kind of turns up and like a brim eating eggs. I know they can't stand it. So something to think about anyway.
Okay, last question for you. I'll let you go.
Okay.
941 Fishing is wondering, is the crawl tube hollow?
It is hollow. You can slide it. Man, this is our best kept secret. I tell people this all the time. They laugh. This is a really good springtime bait. Now, I know guys that use it out in the summer. I like to fish it in the spring along the banks and along edges of grass lines. But it's got a hole in the middle of it. You can run a rattle up in this thing, and it doesn't get in the way of your hook. That's why I recommend using a wide gap hook. You bring your hook in, bring it back out, and then you bring it back through your tube, and it's not in the way of compromising your hook set at all. And it has really good action, and the fish will bite it. Black neon, by the way, I will share that with you. It's a really good color in it.
Okay, well, that's it for this week.
All right, super, man. We've enjoyed it. I'm glad to be back on the air. Now I'm back, and we'll see you next week.